Did President Ruto of Kenya give the citizenship to all the Indians who are found inside the Republic of Kenya?
All the Indian nationals that are in Kenya were made Kenyan citizens. Today, Kenya is no longer their second home. Kenya is their first home.
If this is the case, how come you only give this citizenship to Indians and not to all Africans who are found within the borders of Kenya? These are the serious questions that everyone they are asking themselves right now, because Africans want to understand what are the difference between Indians and Africans who are found within the borders of Kenya, because they have to ask these questions. They want to understand exactly why Africans they are only allowed to have a free visa. Africans want to understand if Indians they are that more important to them. So they have been asking all these questions just after President William Ruto had visited the Republic of India 2 days ago, after he had made this announcement when it comes to this relationship that Republic of Kenya they have with India. So through his words, it has raised a lot of rumors among Africans. They had to question themselves with all these questions to know whether Indians are that important than Africans, and if President Ruto with his administrative they have to give citizenship to all the the Indians who are found within the borders of Kenya, how come they don't do the same with Africans? So it is something that we want to discuss with you in this video, and we would like to give also our point of view about all this. But in order for us to be in the same page and to try to understand exactly how the Indians who are found within the borders of Kenya manage to have these nationalities, Kenyan nationalities or citizenship, if we have to put it in that way, in order for us to understand all these things properly, we first need to look back and see how far this relationship that Kenya have with India, how did Indians manage to enter in Kenya? Because in South Africa, we also have Indians who are being considered as South Africans. So in order for us to understand, I want you first to have listened to this report, then I'll be back more with more analysis.
It was the 1700s. British rule was being cemented in India. Business was expanding. Plus, the British had infrastructural needs. After all, they had an empire to control. So Indians started coming to East Africa. Some for business, some for service in the British Army, and others to build railways and other services. Fast forward 3 centuries, and Indians are now the 44th tribe in Kenya. It's a big community with close to 100,000 people. It's also an influential one. They came to the East African nation, enjoyed economic success, and ended up living there for generations. And it's these people-to-people ties that bolstered India-Kenya relations. Today, Kenyan President William Ruto is in India. It's a 3-day state visit, his first as President of Kenya. There was a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, followed by a visit to the Rajghat, where Ruto paid his respects to Mahatma Gandhi. This is the first Kenyan presidential visit in 6 years, so it's obviously a special one.
I want to report to you that in 2017, all the Indian nationals that are in Kenya were made Kenyan citizens. Today, Kenya is no longer their second home. Kenya is their first home. And we celebrate them because they are a great people, and they have created a bridge between Kenya and India. Because of that relationship, we have had a long history of collaboration, and today in my visit we have consolidated that relationship and expanded the scope of engagement between our governments.
The focus is on strengthening these ties, but there's a lot more on the plate, like investments. India will provide Kenya with a $250 million credit line. This is to modernize its agriculture sector. Both India and Kenya are agrarian economies, so this is important. Plus, there's the issue of terrorism. It's affecting both India and Kenya. President William Ruto said it himself.
Terrorism is a big issue both for Kenya and India, and we've agreed that our defense forces will work together in collaboration sharing information, sharing experience, sharing knowledge and intelligence to make sure that we deal with the challenge of terrorism.
So the two countries are looking at closer cooperation. Both Indian and Kenyan defense forces will share information, experience and intelligence to deal with the issue.
All right. Now that we all managed to watch this report together with you, and let us just try to summarize the key points about all this meeting that the President William Ruto of Kenya have to go all the way to India. Because we saw how Africans are complaining, you know, and raising up this point like this is the first time for them to find out that Indians who are found within the borders of Kenya, they are actually being considered as a citizen of that country. But at the same time, we still have to raise one question to ask ourselves to know, for how long will this have to continue? Does that mean that every Indians who leave the Republic of India to go to Kenya, once they step in, they'll be considered as the citizen of that country? Or is it just something that which was applying only to the Indians who've been there? Because through this report that we just showed you not long ago, guys, you understand that Indians, they have a history. Between India and Kenya Republic, they have a history of a business which has been there for many years. Indians, for your own information, they did not colonize any of African countries as far as I know. But they were there to do business with the former colonizers. They were there to do business with France. They were there to do business with the British. They were there to do business with Italy, Belgium. So they were kind of like looking around the world and see what they can, what material they need to use, and they'll do business with those countries. So whenever they were entering a country, during that time back then, you'll find out that these countries, they were under the leadership of their colonizers. And that is the same example with Kenya. Back then, Kenya was colonized by British. So they were busy producing cement. And India, they have to come and buy this cement. So the time when they were coming to do business with the British in Kenya, most of them, they end up installing themselves in Kenya, as we are seeing now with the Chinese, you know, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, all over African countries. So they were there, they were busy doing business, you know, they become like the British partners. Now that the British have left the country, because one thing we should also bring to your conscience is that these Indians, yes, they were busy working with the colonizers. But we see in some of African countries whereby they stood together with the people, the population of these countries, because of what the colonizers, they were doing to them. So for an example, like in South Africa, we saw Indians fought apartheid regime with everything that they have in their power, though they were just there to do business with South Africans. And that is the same thing again they did in Kenya. They helped Kenyans to fight British. So they were kind of like, they will come in doing business with your colonizer, but at the same time they are looking for a proper way for them to support you so that you can come out and free yourself. But was them having another reason behind that? Because there are some people that can help you to revolt against your colonizer, and later on them they come and take over. Is that the case with Indians? I don't think so. Because if that was the case, then by this time I don't think Kenya was going to be having their freedoms as we are seeing it every day. Instead, they're the one who even decided to give Indians their citizenship. So obviously Indians, they were busy doing those business, and many of them, they remained there after all these years. Obviously there are many Indians who were born and raised in Kenya. They never even go to India. So these people, that is how the government of Kenya, through their parliament, they had voted that they should give them the citizenship, because they are now considering them as a part of Indians. That is beautiful. I personally, I don't have anything to say against that. But the only question that come in mind of all of us, personally, I'm asking the same question to say, for the fact that the Kenyan government, they managed to give the citizenship to all the Indians who were inside Kenya. My question is, regardless of whatsoever it was their reasons that motivate them to give these Indians citizenship, was it only Indians who were there, or was there also other Africans who supposed to be having that citizenship? Because you'll find out that there are many Africans who are found in South Kenya, and yet, regardless of how long they've been in that country, yet they are not being considered as the citizen of that country. So why applying this measurement only to Indians and not to your fellow Africans? That is just a question mark we are leaving to the government of Kenya. But this has raised a lot of rumors among Africans, where they are finding it hard to believe that the Kenya Republic, they are opening their borders for visitors, for Africans to visit. Because when they say that you can enter Kenya free of visa, that simply means to say that you are allowed to come in, but you are not allowed to stay in. So you can go to Kenya for public holidays, you have your fun there, and then next things, you must leave and go back to your country. That is what it simply means to say. But for the Indians, that's not the case. And listening to the President Ruto himself saying all this, you will understand that he did not even like try to make it sound like, no, this happened all during that time. These all other Indians that are coming to Kenya, they are not gonna be considered as the citizen of Kenya. I did not hear something like that. Because the moment when they decide to give their the citizenship to these Indians who are found inside Kenya, we must keep in mind that these Indians, they have their family back home. Because these people, when they are coming in Africa continent, they don't move in with their families. Since they are here to make money, since they are here to do business, they leave their family back home. They leave their wife, their children, their mothers, their fathers, their uncles. They leave them back home. And once they start settling down, that's how they start calling each other. We are seeing it with Afghanistan, Bangladesh, all over, with spaza shop in South Africa. One person, you'll see them around the corner having a spaza shop. Tomorrow, if you pass at that same place, you find them, there are like 15 of them sleeping in that small area. They are eating there, they put there, they do everything inside there. Why? Because these people, they invite each other, they call each other. Now, when the government of Kenya accepted to allow these people have their citizenship, don't you think that these people will be calling their relative from Kenya, from India, who will remain back home in India? Of course, they will call them. For an example, if you have found yourself there, you are married, you have your children. Once you get that citizenship, you will declare your wife and your children. Now, you see where comes the confusion? And all this is happening. I don't know if whether they think of if they think of all this. Because trust me, if there's even a child who was born over there, or maybe was found there during that time, and you give the citizenship to this child, what about his parents? What about his brothers and sisters? Those are the things that we need also to consider. But above all, from the way things are standing on the table, these two nations, they still have a very good relationship, and they are doing serious business. And Kenya is being considered as one of the Indians traded company in Africa. So their business obviously will continue, and that is a very good thing. But again, why reserving this kind of treatment only to people from the outside, to the outside people? and not your fellow Africans? Why Kenya can't put a certain law to say that, no, look, each and every African who's within our borders, if you've been here for so much time, this is what we are going to give to you. Why they can't do that? So you see, sometimes, I mean, the reason why I'm talking about all this, or I'm putting all this to you, guys, is for you to understand that sometimes we don't love ourselves. Sometimes we can be our own solutions, but just because we don't love ourselves, then we will continue or keeping blaming other people out there. Because it is by this kind of small of things can show whether Africa were united or not. And when we don't do this kind of things, what do you expect the outsider to behave in our behalf? Obviously, they'll take advantage of us. Obviously, they'll take this and use it against us as Africans. So we must learn on how to love one another. And President Ruto, if you want to remain a true Pan-African, he should always try his best to put Africa first before anything. We don't have anything against our brothers from Kenya. We are not saying that they should remove that citizenship on them. But we just want at least to make sure that Africa, with Africans affairs, must be treated in the first place. It is in that way we'll be able to build Africa. Because Africa, we've been through a lot, and we don't need to be at the point of trying to separate one another. That one's not going to benefit us at all. Africa, we're supposed to be united. Africa, we're supposed to be having a free travel of borders. You know, free borders. You wake up today, you find yourself in Senegal, you do whatever you want to do there. If you want to stay there, you stay there. You invest there, you raise up the economy of Senegal. Tomorrow you jump maybe to Ivory Coast, from Ivory Coast to Burkina Faso, maybe from Burkina Faso to Chad or to Madagascar. We connect among ourselves. That is how it's supposed to be. And when we are calling for the unity of Africa, some people, they call us names. Some people consider us as the enemies. And yet, you find that they will be the first one who complains. Who will keep on saying that, no, we have a high number of unemployment, we have this and that, we have this and that. How are you going to solve all this when you're still hating one another? When you still you're hating your fellow Africans? Those are the things that we need to have the courage to look into each other's eyes and tell each other the truth. If we don't do so, trust me, we'll keep on circulating one place over and over for many years to come, because we don't want to do what is right, and we do things that we feel like, no, it is right for us. Dear Africans, we need to stand and be on our feet to make sure that this Africa can move forward. We can have relationship with other nations around the world which are outside of Africa continent. There's nothing wrong about that. There's nothing bad about that. Because if we want to develop Africa, we need also to have outside relationship with other nations. The problem we should stand against is to allow these outsiders to come back in Africa continent and try to impose their leadership on Africans, or trying to show us on how to do things, how to live our life in Africa. Like with the way we are seeing with the West coming all over from America or France, telling us on how we should live, how we should grow our democracy and whatsoever. And just to find out that these are the same people who always come and cause a lot of drama in Africa. Because, as I always tell you every time, that these people, their mission is to make Africa be divided. They want to confuse the Africans so that they'll be able to continue looting Africa and to take advantage of Africans. That's the reason why they don't want to see African being united. Last time I gave you a very simple example. I said these people in Europe, they are having border free. You just have to show the passport of which country, European country that you are coming from. They will set you free and you'll go to another country without being interrupted. But What did them do in Africa? They refuse to do the same thing that they did in their countries, in their continent. They come in Africa continent, they divide Africans, they put borders. This one is Mozambique, that one is Zimbabwe, that one is Nigeria, that one is what. And the next things, it starts raising a confusion among Africans. It starts raising up hatred among Africans. Them on the other side, they're enjoying their life. So the day Africans will stand and realize this, that okay, imagine if we put visa free for each and every African, wherever you are finding yourself around inside Africa continent, you can go anywhere without asking for visa. Do you know how many job opportunities we'll have to have? And do you have any idea of how the economy of Africa will stand? Because you find this one moving from their country, going to another country, getting tomatoes, coming back to this country, just like that. So that is something that they do not want Africans to do, because they know the day when this will happen, things will be very ugly for them. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. It was very important that we also managed to give our point of view on this point, that the official visit that the president of Kenya, William Ruto, have to go all the way to Indians and try to tell them on how they are more welcome in his country, and try to see on how Africans are being treated over there. If you find anything beneficial in this video, don't leave without giving us your thumbs up. If this is your first time to watch our videos, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you get to join this big family. Here we discuss about Africa, because we believe that as a Pan-Africans, we should try our best to make our voice be heard by everyone out there, because we want Africa to develop and we want a true freedom of Africans. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon. For now, continue to be yourself, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. I'll see you again very soon. Ciao, ciao.